Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Today channel. The reason Hope and Steffy's peace won't last, their rivalry will never go away. According to teasers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Hope Logan and Steffy Forrester's relationship will end for at least 3 reasons. As the plot of Liam Spencer's terminal illness develops, it's critical to remember that this rivalry won't end. Liam hopes to find a solution to make Steffy and Hope get along before he leaves. Liam has already assisted Hope and Steffy in taking a positive move, even though they are not yet aware of it. Hope gives Steffy a sad embrace in the May 9th episode and expresses gratitude for being honest about Liam's dire situation. This significant event will pave the way for Hope and Steffy to pursue a more tranquil future together, one that will involve Hope's impending return to Forrester Creations. But that does not imply that the rivalry between Hope and Steffy will end. Steffy and Hope might not be able to fulfill their commitment to leave their feuding behind them, even if they do so in the end. What would happen if Liam actually died and was no longer present to maintain order? Here are 3 reasons why Steffy and Hope's truce will fail, as that should bring them straight back into conflict. 1. The problems with Steffy and Hope extend well beyond Liam. Even while Liam has been holding himself responsible for igniting Hope and Steffy's conflict, their problems extend much beyond him. Although Steffy and Hope have argued over many other issues, the Liam love triangle has long been a major source of their conflict. We therefore question if Hope and Steffy will be able to maintain their friendship if Liam indeed faces a dire future. As they have done numerous times throughout the years, Steffy and Hope will undoubtedly discover further points of contention. 2. This is the longest period of peace. Another strong clue that Hope and Steffy's ceasefire won't last is history. Hope and Steffy have attempted reconciliation in the past, but it was unsuccessful. It's also difficult to think it will last this time. During Liam's medical crisis, Hope and Steffy will bond, but that won't be enough to maintain their good relationship going forward. 3. The drama of Hope and Steffy's feud is necessary for BNB. There will always be intense rivalry to keep people entertained because this is a soap opera. Because Steffy and Hope's quarrel fuels so many plots, BNB might ultimately pick it up again, just to keep the drama going. According to teasers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Hope and Steffy will make some predictions about putting their past animosity behind them, but they might change their minds later. Keep checking back for additional information on what's coming up for Steffy and Hope, as they will be updating their viewpoints along the journey. Liam Spencer has spent the previous several weeks accepting that the mass on his brain is incurable and coming to terms with his death. Hope lets go of Carter so that Liam may be the focus. To cope through this heartbreaking news, he has mainly relied on his ex-wife, Steffy Forrester, and her physician husband, John Finnegan. Hope was informed by Steffy that Liam was dying. Steffy and Liam have a daughter together, and he is currently residing at the guest house to spend as much time as possible with Kelly. Steffy has demanded that Liam tell Hope Logan, Annika Noel, with whom he has a daughter, about his diagnosis as well. Ignoring her customary animosity for Hope, Steffy is adamant that she must understand what is going on in order to assist young Beth. Steffy was left to speak to Hope because Liam was unable to tell her the truth. Knowing that Hope would be just as devastated to hear of Liam's sickness, Steffy finally addressed her with kindness after years of conflict. Hope and Steffy are in a similar position because they have both been married to Liam and have a little kid together. Hope had already been considering a reunion and thinking a lot about Liam. Hope can't help but feel drawn to Liam now that she is aware of how little time she has left with him. Hope's intention is for her to care for him and be a family with him and Beth for as long as possible. Since Steffy is married to Finn and wants Liam to be surrounded by his entire family, she cannot interfere. Hope ends her relationship with Carter. Since he returned the Forresters' company, Hope and Carter Walton's friendship has already been strained. Hope watched as she was fired after feeling deceived when Carter kept his job. Hope only recently calmed down enough to speak to Carter, who was begging for another chance at their relationship, after she cut him out of her life. She was thinking about trying again, although Carter now seems quite inconsequential due to Liam's condition. She is now solely focused on Liam as a result of this development. Bill and Liam, who is dying, are at odds. According to Friday, May 9, 2025, spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Liam's death marks a significant turning point in his life when he must finally confront his father. Liam's secret is revealed. For the past month, Scott Clifton's character Liam Spencer has done everything in his power to ensure that only John Finn Finnegan, Tanner Novlin, and Steffy Forrester Finnegan, Jacqueline McInnes Wood, are aware of his impending death. Don't forget to check out our YNR spoilers for next week, here. Steffy went and told Hope Logan, Annika Noel, Liam's secret since Liam was unable to speak, even though he knew Hope needed to know for Beth's sake. Although Hope is inconsolable, others also require this information. Dollar Bill Spencer is still unaware that his son is having problems. The previous time they saw one another, they got into a physical altercation, with Liam falling to the ground as soon as Bill left the house. Liam would have died by now if Steffy hadn't discovered him when she did. Liam insisted that Steffy call no one, even though Steffy wanted Bill and Liam's two brothers to know what was happening. Read this, spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Luna entices Will into her bed by using Liam's diagnosis. Bill and Liam's significant event. When Liam and Bill finally cross paths again on Friday, things don't go well at all. In actuality, it becomes a very intense and emotional altercation. Bill and Liam discuss everything that was stated during their most recent argument. Does Bill treat his son worse than previously because he is unaware of Liam's illness, or do they even offer an apology to one another? Bill must not have meant the terrible things he spoke to Liam. Bill will undoubtedly discover the truth by the end of their argument. Is Liam going to say it out loud? Will Steffy interrupt and say it out loud? Or will Liam collapse to the ground once more, and Bill will see it happen? When Bill Spencer discovers that his eldest son is not meant to live, the story finally picks up steam. Will he invite his brother Wyatt Spencer, Darren Brooks, to return to town? Scott Clifton isn't leaving yet, but Liam dies. Although teasers for The Bold and the Beautiful indicate that Liam Spencer's death is quite likely, actor Scott Clifton is not leaving the show. Actually, it could be the exact reverse. For all the information you require, continue reading below. Spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Scott Clifton isn't leaving yet, but Liam dies. Although there is a lot of conjecture that Liam will pass away from his terrible brain cancer, Scott is likely to return to play Liam's long-lost brother. After all, this is a soap opera. Given that fans have been hoping to see a completely new side of Liam anyhow, this might actually be a good thing. Everyone can only handle so much waffling. The internet undoubtedly had a lot to say about this potential notion, as our fans may understand. If Liam is killed off and it turns out that he has a twin brother, it would be two birds with one stone. We get to keep Scott and get rid of Liam, one show fan even said. It would also resemble the iconic B&B years when the original Caroline Spencer passed away from leukemia, but the actress continued to play Caroline's twin sister, Karen. Spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Liam may have a long-lost brother. First they hinted that he was leaving, then he and Don Diamont signed new contracts, and then someone posted an interview or something on a Reddit thread about him definitely going to another soap opera, another person added. Additionally, the following comment was made, "I hope this is true." The program has never been interested in delving into any aspect of Liam's past or getting past his Archie Andrews-esque indecision, and he has largely functioned less as an autonomous character than a carnival prize for Hope and Steffy to quarrel over. Fans of The Bold and the Beautiful will, of course, need to watch every single day to see what happens next. Stay tuned for more. On weekdays, the CBS network broadcasts The Bold and the Beautiful. Look up the timings in your local listings. As Hope clings to Liam, Bill confronts him, and Daphne tries to persuade Carter to dump Hope. Will Finn fire Luna or see her behind closed doors? We continue discussing the effects of Liam's brain mass this week. When Liam calls his father to meet him at Il Giardino, Bill eventually finds out the truth. We don't have any promo spoilers because there wasn't a new episode on Friday. We recapped Friday's episode on Thursday, but that's a public setting for what they're calling a raw, emotional reckoning that could change everything. However, it appears to be mostly focused on Liam's future. Because of how quickly the plot is developing, Liam's demise may not be far off. In the meanwhile, will Finn allow Luna to stay in his home or will he throw her out? In an intense, emotional reckoning that has the potential to alter everything, Bill and Liam confront the past and one another. Liam is reminded of Hope's strong beliefs and will to fight for the future when he thinks back on their shared history. Luna surprises Finn and Steffy with a visit. The loss of Hope and his girls is too much for Liam to handle. Carter tells Brooke that he will continue to pursue Hope. Steffy is reassured by Finn and Taylor that she made the correct decision. Desperate to preserve Liam's life, Hope clings to him. Daphne makes every effort to get Carter to turn away from Hope and toward her. Liam makes an effort to persuade Hope to mend their relationship. Alongside Carter. Carter stands up for the people he cares about. Will desires to advance his relationship with Elektra. Hope and Steffy are brought together by Liam's illness. Not Liam himself, not Steffy, not Hope. Then he was sitting in a doctor's office, white-knuckling the chair's edge while words like aggressive, terminal, and inoperable poured into his ears in sluggish, suffocating waves. 1 minute he was the stable, although frequently conflicted, anchor in the tumultuous triangle of love and loyalty. The man who had endured decades of Forrester and Logan conflict, automobile disasters, and betrayals, Liam Spencer, was about to receive a punishment he never would have thought possible, the death penalty. Why? Now why him? As reality sunk in, the question echoed through the minds of all the characters on The Bold and the Beautiful. No flashing lights or overt foreshadowing had been present. Only headaches. Simply exhaustion. He was just a man too preoccupied with trying to maintain harmony between Hope and Steffy to notice that his body was engaged in a conflict that it would eventually lose. Perhaps in a clever or cruel move, the authors decided to remove the safety net that fans had become accustomed to. Mortality, not scandal or exile, was phasing out Liam, the indecisive heartbreaker with a conscience who had always been the center of attention. His diagnosis marked a radical change rather than merely the end. The show's whole canvas started to tilt. Hope's initial response was one of denial. When he told her, she cried but laughed cruelly, accusing him of exaggerating and allowing stress to control his thoughts. Her denial, however, broke down into tears when the scans were shown to her and Bridget and Finn confirmed the phrase stage 4. Always the practical one, Steffy attempted to concentrate on the details, including second views, European experimental trials, and even stem cell treatments Liam was ineligible for. However, she had a strong feeling that this was not a survival story. There was a countdown. And why was the nagging question that kept coming up in everyone's thoughts? For a man who is so essential to the B&B ethos, why had the showrunners created this arc? Why not offer him a spectacular farewell, a sensational event, or a plane crash into a jungle where he would return 3 years later, amnesiac? Why death, unavoidable, irrevocable, and final? Fans speculated that it had to do with closure. After years of Liam bouncing back and forth between Hope and Steffy, the authors had had enough of the triangle. Perhaps they wanted to give him a limited lifespan so that the women could eventually outgrow him. Some speculated that Scott Clifton had devoted more than 10 years to the job, making it an actor's departure. This might have been his curtain call. However, if that were the case, their method was almost insidiously personal. Liam wasn't allowed to burn to death. They had him endure long, excruciating months in which he had to live with the repercussions of every choice he made, every betrayal he encountered, and every "I love you" he said. Reconciliation was compelled by his condition. It compelled admissions. The worst part was that it made his loved ones see him deteriorate day by day. No spectacular explosion. The ticking clock alone. Liam struggled with his own guilt while he was alone. Why, he asked himself. Was it karma? Did he deserve this for shattering so many hearts? For leaving Hope behind after Beth? For turning on Steffy just when she needed him most? As time was running out, he couldn't resist wondering whether this was some sort of cosmic retribution. He wasn't a villain, but he wasn't a saint either. He started writing letters to Bill, Steffy, and Hope. He was aware that letters would be read long after he was gone. He expressed regret in them for not being more powerful, more resolute, and more present. The burden of his past hung over him like a shadow, even if everyone around him maintained that none of this was his fault. The program started to focus on that psychological breakdown. Hope wondered whether she had wasted valuable years by reliving each time she had forgiven Liam while attempting to remain strong for Beth. Haunted by their final kiss, Steffy attempted to hide her sorrow behind her CEO mask but would occasionally burst, trembling in Finn's arms as he frantically fought to avoid feeling intimidated by a dying man. Even the tough, merciless Bill Spencer was destroyed. He was unable to use money or threats to change the situation for the first time in his life. Helpless, he watched as his son slipped through his grasp. The man who used to blackmail his way out of any problem was now negotiating with fate, sacrificing everything for more time. In the middle of the night, while he was by himself in his office, he repeatedly whispered, "Take me instead." However, time is not a commodity. Furthermore, this plot was not intended to be an escape. Liam lost more than just strength as his sickness worsened, he also lost his privacy. Steffy and Hope started spending different nights by his bed. Bridget took a part-time job to keep an eye on his health. There was an oppressive sense of finality about the frequent visits from Ridge and Eric. A once vibrant house turned into a death waiting room. Nevertheless, the query continued to pound like a drumbeat, why? But maybe there was more to the solution than simply writing Liam out or punishing him. Maybe the intention was to convey the fact that not all endings are explosive. Sometimes the loudest impact comes from delayed deaths. Everyone around Liam gained clarity as a result of his diagnosis. Hope's once passive and forgiving nature turned to steel. She grew adamant about Liam's comfort, but she wasn't scared to ask herself what she wanted to do with her life after him. Realizing she had held on to Liam as a reminder of the past rather than the future, Steffy started to reevaluate her own journey. Even Thomas sensed the change, despite not being a part of the love triangle but yet being influenced by it. One day, Thomas told Ridge, "I tried to be him for so long. And now, he's slipping away, and without him as competition, I don't even know who I am." The harsh beauty of Liam's death sentence lay in what it required of the living, not in the death itself. Everybody has to face their decisions. Everyone has to change, or change course. And Liam spent his last months being totally present, at last free from romantic ambivalence. Beside Beth. With Kelly. Not as lovers, but as women he respected and who had influenced his life, with Hope and Steffy. He even reconciled with Wyatt in his last days and told Bill the straightforward truth, "It's okay, Dad. For me, you don't need to be strong. Simply be present." So why was Liam given the death penalty? Because occasionally a character must die in order for the others to start over. Because often, the most profound drama comes from the heartbreaking silence of witnessing a good guy deteriorate and realizing that nothing will ever be the same again, rather than from betrayal or scandal. For the weight of what was ultimately going to be uttered, the room was too small, too sterile, and too quiet. The days-long silence between Bill Spencer and his dying son Liam was heavy with unspoken things, heavy with love, remorse, rage, and the sting of time running out. Liam was propped up in a bed that didn't belong in a hospital but might have passed for one, the oxygen hissed intermittently, the monitors flickered softly, and even though everything was kept normal with framed photos, comfortable blankets, and the lingering smell of Hope's perfume, this was a farewell room. Bill was aware of it. His presence, which was normally so powerful and unabashedly domineering, had become cautious around Liam since the diagnosis, but he had postponed this moment longer than he should have. There weren't many things that Dollar Bill dreaded, but seeing his kid appear frail, pale, and mortal had devastated him more than any love rejection or corporate betrayal ever could. Nevertheless, because their relationship had always been complex, here they were, father and son, looking at one another more like enemies than relatives. Now, though? There was no more time for superficial comfort or half-truths. Liam was dying. And Bill, who used his fists and will to build empires, was unable to help him. Until Liam eventually broke the quiet in a low, sickly raked voice, that helplessness, that indescribable reality, hovered between them. "Dad, why are you here at all?" The long-delayed fire was ignited by that question. Bill's jaw tightened as he walked across the room and yelled, "Don't do that. Don't act as though I haven't visited." Liam scoffed feebly, "I've been here every damn day. Just because I don't cry at your bedside doesn't mean I don't care. Are you concerned? Right now? When I needed a father, not a headline, where were you?" It was brutally honest, nasty, and possibly unfair. Bill had always had an impact on Liam's life, but his nurture had rarely influenced it. For Liam, Bill had been a provider, a guardian at times, and a bulldozer with an inflated ego who rewarded devotion and punished weakness. However, Dad? It had always felt like a conditional title. With tears welling up in the corners of his eyes, Liam went on, "You always wanted me to be like you. Cold. Tactical. Brutal. You wanted me to rule, you never wanted me to feel." Bill's shoulders stiffened, but he didn't dispute it since it was accurate. Bill had spent years trying to mold Liam into a guy who wouldn't hesitate, wouldn't break, and wouldn't be damaged by love. Liam had broken, though. For the final time, he was breaking now. "I don't blame myself, do you think?" At last, Bill spoke in a low, cracking voice that startled even him. "Do you really believe I haven't covered every instance in which I forced you to be someone you weren't?" "You were making me hate myself," Liam said, without venom but with eerie clarity. "I thought I was making you stronger. And now, isn't it too late to make any changes?" That brought Bill to a halt. This was the one thing he couldn't spin for a man who took great satisfaction in always having a strategy and always managing the story. No miracle deal would be made. No last-minute getaway. Liam wasn't exaggerating or bluffing. The physicians had ceased making promises, the cancer had spread, and the medicines had not worked. Bill had to act quickly since Liam was dying. "In an instant, I would switch places with you," Bill muttered. "Are you aware of that?" Liam briefly closed his eyes, worn out by the emotion. "I would give anything, to take this from you. Then just be here without attempting to repair things. Don't be Dollar Bill, be my dad. I'm fine without a fixer. I am in need of you." That caused Bill to become vulnerable in a way he hadn't anticipated. He didn't brush away the tears that filled his eyes. He dropped them. Then he took his son's hand, limp and cold but still alive, and slid onto the chair next to Liam's bed. He said, "I don't know how to do this. I'm not sure how to observe while sitting motionless. I've been struggling all my life. Battling for authority, dominance, and my sons. But this, watching you go, is killing me in ways I never thought possible." Liam's fingers clung feebly to his father's. "Don't spend time, then. Don't waste my time. Speak to me. Ask me questions." They said, "Say what you haven't said." They discussed the past. Regarding the initial moment Liam entered Bill's life and completely turned everything upside down. Regarding the errors, Bill's extramarital escapades, Liam's treachery, and their mutual letdowns. And about the positive things, like the giggles, the rare times they clicked, and the pride Bill felt but kept to himself. Bill muttered, "You're a better man than I ever was. You loved better than I knew how to, despite all your doubts." Liam nodded slowly. "I wish I could be the father Beth deserves more often." It was deafeningly quiet. Bill rubbed his face against the bed's edge as he leaned in. "She will be aware. I'll make sure she is aware of every moment, every smile, and every story. I swear it, Liam." And it wasn't a businessman's pledge for once. It was a father's pledge, shattered yet genuine. "And hope?" Liam's voice was now hardly heard as he asked. "Tell her that she wasn't at fault. That before the physicians ever spoke, I was already lost." Bill nodded, his voice breaking. "She is aware. I will remind her, though. Every day." For hours, they remained there, father and son, no longer arguing or attempting to alter the narrative. Simply be there. Right there. And something lovely occurred in that raw, vulnerable place. Liam forgiven him. Not in words. However, at a glance. Using the remaining strength in his gaze. And at last, after a lifetime of conquest, Bill gave up. To love, not to mourn.